Welcome back to the Educational AD Podcast and the very first episode of our brand new weekly series featuring Dr. Mekia Troy, the athletic director at Creekside High School in Georgia. We'll be right back with our very first segment in this new series, but first we want to acknowledge our podcast partners. We Coach, the global community of women in high school sports, Vital Signs Wall of Fame, and the Florida Coaches Coalition. These are four great organizations. You should really add them to your network. And now don't hit that fast forward button. Stay with us for the next 3 minutes. We're going to give our sponsors a shout out. These are all great companies I used as an AD or as a coach. You should be using them too. Here we go. We want to say thanks to Gipper for their support of the podcast. Gipper is the official social media graphic solution for us. And if you go to Gipper.com, their team is going to show you how to start creating world-class marketing content for your school's social media channel. You should be celebrating your athletes and promoting your teams online because that's where your kids are. Gipper's trusted by over 3,000 athletic departments, both high school and college. And if you go to Gipper.com, they're going to give you a nice discount if you mention the podcast. That's Gipper.com. We also want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards or your school's Hall of Fame, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check out their great products and let them help you bring your school's legacy to life. Once again, if you mention this podcast, you'll get a nice big discount. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. We want to say thanks to Huddle. Go to huddle.com and change the way you see the game. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I wanted to make sure all of our teams were benefiting from Huddle, and our coaches just loved the tools that they provided that helped them coach our kids up to the highest level. Go to huddle.com, see why we believe in sports and teams believe in Huddle. Join the 8 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com, schedule a live web demo, and see their scoreboards and their score tables in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Check out their great products today. We want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Hometown is digital ticketing that offers more support, more security, more customization. Hometown is here to make the best solution for you. Go to hometownticketing.com to get started. We also want to say thanks to Snap Mobile. Go to snapraise.com. Check out their entire suite of platforms designed to help you do your job better. If you're looking for a fundraiser, stop right here. SnapRaise is the best, but there's also Snap Store, Snap Connect, Snap Manage. You can find them all at snapraise.com. We want to thank Home Campus, the exclusive high school and state association management platform for us. It's also your one-stop platform for things like scheduling, student-athlete eligibility and clearance, coaches clearance, and a whole lot more. As an AD, I used Home Campus every single day, and it was just great. To find out how Home Campus can help you, all you have to do is go to homecampus.com. That's homecampus.com. And before we go, we want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that allows you to take the pulse of your parents and your student athletes. Athletic directors already hear back from the complainers, the 2% that want to gripe about everything. Athletic Surveys is going to connect you to the 2%, but they'll also connect you with the 98% that supports your program. That's a tremendously valuable tool to have when you're talking to a frustrated parent or your principal or your school board. You'll find out how to do it at athleticsurveys.com. That's athleticsurveys.com. Hey, welcome back, everyone, to the Educational AD Podcast. This is our very first segment in a brand new series that we're still searching for a name for it. So maybe if you listen to it, shoot us an email and maybe you can, help us name this series. We have no trouble naming the individual that's going to be presenting over the coming weeks. Dr. Mekia Troy. She is a certified master athletic administrator. She's the director of athletics at Creekside High School in Georgia. She's been a guest on the podcast. She's been a contributor for a long time. She's also a member of the NIAAA National Faculty. And for the coming weeks, every Thursday, she is going to present a lesson for athletic directors from her perspective. And again, if you're not familiar with the program that she directs at Creekside, it's not just a statewide, recognized statewide, it's recognized nationally. So Dr. Mekia Troy, welcome to this brand new segment. And what do you have for our listeners?
Thank you so much, Jake. I appreciate the opportunity to share your platform anytime you allow me to do so. I am glad to be able to talk a little bit today about what things were like when I began as an athletic director, and something that I really needed some support with, which was recognizing how to deal with some of those crucial conversations, some of those difficult, challenging conversations, phone calls, and things like that, that they were really tough for me in the beginning. I was fairly young when I started as an athletic director, and I just didn't know if I was prepared to handle some of the situations that were beginning to arise. And then, even being the first female athletic director in our school, I thought there might be some challenges for me there too. So it was tough when the phone rang, I would just get nervous and didn't feel comfortable in how to respond or what I would do. But I happened to be reading an NIAAA publication once that focused on these type of situations. And it said to look at these issues as opportunities and not as problems. And that just really changed my whole perspective as to how I would deal with these situations moving forward. I was being unnecessarily hard on myself as a new athletics administrator for no real reason. I wish I remembered who said this in the publication so I can give him or her credit. But either way, it's something that has resonated with me over the years. So I would write the word opportunity on a sticky note and put it next to my phone on the desk in the office, so that when it rang, I would at least see the word opportunity before I went to answer the phone, and just remind myself to think about that. You see the caller ID, the call is coming, or whoever it might be. It just gave me a chance to get my mind together before even saying hello. But the phrase helped me to remember. It helped me to remember, like the phrase that says, this is what you get to do, not what you have to do. So it allowed me to really look at these as an opportunity and just change my perspective, an opportunity for me to grow as an athletic administrator, an opportunity to share what it is that we do and really show the importance of the work that we do to whoever might be calling in or whatever the situation might be. But just that little change of perspective allowed me to approach the situations a lot differently. By being able to approach these as opportunities and not issues or problems, I was able to show that a leader is willing to listen. Sometimes you might not want to hear what they're saying on the other side of that phone call, but I was able to express that, I'm going to listen. I'm going to hear you out. And even in listening, it gives me a chance to kind of see what's being said. Maybe there's some truth to the situation in the midst of everything else that's being said that maybe I don't necessarily agree with. There may be some truth that I need to take back and address with the coaching staff or whoever the affected parties might be. So as I'm listening and showing that I'm concerned and there's some consideration for what people are saying, it allowed there to be some development of, I believe, some trust, some dependability with those parents and anyone else that called with their, complaints, frustration. Even if it was just an outpouring of their emotion, just letting them get it out, it still was an opportunity for me to show them that there was a listening ear on the other side and that I would take their thoughts to heart. I believe it was important also to give an opportunity for me to show that I have the best interests of our student athletes in mind, whether they're a starter or someone who's not. Those concerns are valid no matter who the parent of that particular student athlete might be. So those are opportunities for me to address them in a way to let them know that I still valued what they had to share or say, regardless of the talent level of their particular student athlete. It also gave me an opportunity, I believe, for growth as an athletic administrator to just learn what it is that you might have to answer. I mean, just because the phone rang and someone has a question doesn't mean I immediately had the answer. But I had to be willing to say, you know what, there's some things that maybe I don't know, but I'll get back to you on it. And just by saying, I don't know, I'll get back to you, it made me have a commitment to finding the best answer for the person, but also allowing them to understand that I'll be accountable enough to come back to the person with the best answer for them. So it couldn't be just a subjective no if there was something that I didn't want to deal with, or I just ignore because I didn't have the answer. It was an opportunity for growth for me to find out what the answers were, and sometimes finding policies that support those answers to make it a little bit easier if you do have to say no. I recall a time where I early on got a phone call about bringing a horse and carriage onto the track for the homecoming presentation at halftime, but the whole stadium would have to be quiet in order not to agitate the horse. You know, I didn't immediately have an answer. I know what I wanted to say, but I felt it was best. This was a parent of influence. It was best for me to go and find the answer that policy was going to support, so that even if she decided to go beyond my initial no, she would get the same response from someone who was maybe a little higher on that chain of command than me. So that was important to do. But even in those instances, when you get those phone calls that you just don't have the answer to just yet, it's important to let someone know that, hey, I don't know, but I can find the answer for you. And I assure you that I'll get back to you. They'll understand that you can be trusted, be accountable. And additionally, I think that it helps to maybe relieve some tension in your future interactions with these people if they know that you are going to be committed to getting back to them. So now, as a veteran athletic administrator, no, I don't have to have the sticky note by the phone anymore. It is pretty much ingrained in my head, because now I also understand that it's not always phone calls. Sometimes these conversations happen at games. They may happen in the grocery store, the gas station, in the community. You just never know. So it's important for me now to see that these opportunities, not these problems, these opportunities may occur, whether it's a phone call or not. And I feel now empowered to be able to address them, knowing that this could be a positive experience if we allow our perspective to change.
Boy, you covered so many great points there. I wrote down some of them. The whole, opportunities as opposed to the challenges. Get to instead of have to. That's a great one. Listening, the value of that. I've said several times that was a tool, if you will, that I learned how to use way too late in my career, and it's just so valuable. And then you touched on the growth that we all go through. You mentioned you became an athletic director young in your career. I was well into my career as a head coach before I became an AD, but I was still a new AD. And that expression, you don't know what you don't know, certainly applies. Great stuff, boy. Doctor, if one of our listeners wanted to reach out and pick your brain a little bit more, and listeners, I think you got a great resource here. What's the best way they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, I am active on social media. So if you'd like to reach out on, X, formerly known as Twitter, it's at Dr. Troy Me. That's DrTroyme. And even email is fine at the same place, drtroyme@gmail.com. And I'd be happy to, give any advice or perspective that I can.
And Mekia's information is also available on the NIAAA portal for our NIAAA members. Again, for listeners, we're going to be doing this every single Thursday. This is a brand new series. It's going to be going on for a number of weeks. So we hope you come back next time. Dr. Mekia Troy, thanks so much for sharing with us this week, and all the best on the rest of the fall season.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
For our listeners, like I said, we do this every week, and we upload the Zoom recordings to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate you listening today. Come back next Thursday for another great episode with the doctor, and just about every day for new content on the Educational AD Podcast. Before we go, we do want to give a shout out to our podcast sponsors, Home Campus. Go to homecampus.com. Find out what they can do for you and your school. Hometown Ticketing, staying on the home side. They're the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. I don't think I need to say anything more. Go to hometownticketing.com to get started. Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com, schedule a live demo, see their tables and their boards in action. We want to thank Gipper for all of their support. If you're not on social media and you're not promoting your kids with social media posts, you're really missing out. Gipper is the way to go. They're the official solution for social media for this podcast. Go to Gipper.com. Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards or your Hall of Fame, go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Mention this podcast, you'll get a nice discount. We want to thank Snap Mobile. Go to snapraise.com. Check out their entire suite of platforms, including Snap Raise, their fundraiser. We want to say thanks to Huddle. Go to huddle.com. And we want to thank Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. Go to athleticsurveys.com to get started. Thanks again for tuning in. Come back next Thursday for another great lesson with Dr. Mekia Troy. This is the Educational ED Podcast.